In 1789, the French people rebelled against their king Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette and began their own revolution. Um, the Americans initially were very supportive of the revolution because it was very similar in spirit to their own, as the French people were seeking liberty. And as the fact that the French had been their allies during their own revolution, most Americans felt that they should definitely support the French in this endeavor. However, the French Revolution, after it began, became very, very bloody and very violent. It was known as the Reign of Terror, as not only were the king and the queen and a lot of the nobles and many of the people involved within the government were taken prisoner and beheaded. And once it became this huge, bloody, and violent war within France, war broke out between France and other European nations who felt that France's revolution had gone too far. And that began a debate here in the United States of whether or not the US should or shouldn't support the French in their revolution. Jefferson felt that the US should not abandon France in its endeavors. France had supported the United States in the revolution. Jefferson was always a big supporter of France. He was the ambassador to France for many years and lived in France for many years. So Thomas Jefferson definitely had this inclination to support France no matter what. Hamilton, on the other hand, thought it was more important to keep British relations, which was our biggest trading partner, and he knew that if we went full in and supported France, that it was a possibility that we would lose Britain and lose the possibility of increasing our trade with them. So with that, George Washington decided that he was going to issue a proclamation that would keep America from taking sides in the war between France and England. And this was known as the Neutrality Proclamation, that plainly stated that the United States was not going to take a side in this war. James Madison and others in the government felt that the president had gone beyond his authority by claiming this proclamation without gaining the approval from Congress. Edmund Genet was actually the French representative here in the United States, and he approached the president and the government wanting to employ U.S. ships as privateers. So France was going to hire U.S. ships and hire them as privateers, which pretty much they were going to be hired in order to attack British ships. Washington said that allowing this would go against the Neutrality Proclamation, but Jefferson believed that France should still be supported in this war, while Hamilton continued his objections in hopes that they would still be able to establish treaties with Britain again. From this incident, Jefferson felt that Hamilton had way too much influence on the president and way too much influence in the government, especially in his role as Secretary of State, because if Jefferson was supposed to be the one who was in charge of keeping relations with other countries, and Hamilton is supposed to be Secretary of the Treasury, he should only be dealing with the economy. Because of the fact that Jefferson believed that Hamilton had too much influence, it was kind of treading on his territory, he actually resigned from Washington's cabinet in 1793 and was no longer Secretary of State. So from this, we're going to begin to see some differences emerge in the government, as now without Jefferson, Washington's cabinet is going to be a little restructured and different.